While I'm not using test-driven development, I do need to write as many tests as possible. With services in general, you're in a chicken and egg situation. In order to see your service work, you need something to call it. In order for something to call it, it needs to work well enough to see if it provides what the caller needs. Getting a couple of levels of testing going in a back-end service can help you bridge the gap. And be confident that when you write your first client, the server will work at some level. So for unit testing, we have a translation layer where the entities that we have defined for interaction with the database are transformed into the entities defined by the gRPC protocol definition, and vice versa. These functions can definitely be unit tested. They're one form in and one form out with no dependencies in the function. Things we're testing here are 1, do the structs match, and 2, did we miss anything? And right off the bat, we see we did. Side note, we'll spin up GitHub issue tracking to deal with issues in different components of the project. One of the hard parts of a polyrepo approach is I can't just jump in and fix an issue with, say, the data model. It needs to be fixed in the entity package and then deployed as a release to that package. So even though there's only one developer on the project, I'm going to have to use some type of mechanism to track the changes I need to make. I've not used it before, and I think we'll start using GitHub issues. In the service layer, it gets a little more complicated. We have a database connection to a local instance to contend with, not exactly a unit test. It's more of an integration or functional test. We need to locally test this so that we know that the basics of the Couchbase interaction are working before we start calling this from a client. We don't necessarily want these tests to be run from our ultimate deployment, but we have to use these tests to know that the database interactions work. Now that we're reasonably sure that the code is working at some level, we can move on to writing a client library that will connect to the server code.